Hi,
Sincerely.
how you doing?
Ah, where are my sunglasses? That would be so.
Well, you know why I'm wearing them?
Why?
Because the future's so bright, we gotta wear shades. And I
Love
think I
it.
may be the only one who remembers that. So there, now that I made my point.
Sunglasses also help when you're feeling really weird. It's like, you become invisible.
True story. Or if you're really hungover, but let's not talk about that.
Or if you're at a funeral and you want people to think you're really sad.
Ooh, that also.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. See,
we got the good info here, people.
you're looking mighty fine today.
As are you, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. Very grateful.
Thank you. Well, we
So,
were just conversing before you came on that we have no idea where we're going to go because everything's weird.
boy, isn't it though? Yeah, weird. The original meaning of weird was of spirit, fate, or destiny. And part of the reason things are very challenging for us weirdos right now, for a lot of weirdos, I should say, is because we're not fully claiming the weirdness that we are. And now's the time.
So I my first question, because it's literally where I am sitting right now in weird, is what would you offer? Like, what's the next to like push pause and stop and
But
and wait? Am
now
I doing
this is really funny because I don't know if you know, but you push pause for a moment, which is just so good. So great.
seriously, the Zoom spirits have like not been working with me lately. So I'm gonna ask to receive from them. But that place where you just don't know where your next like what is my next choice, like what is that, like because a lot of
Yeah.
us are like on doing pause right now rather than activating a choice for possibility.
Yeah. Well, a lot of you have so here's where this whole I I love it because we're gonna just have the snake bite its tail in the first 3 minutes here, basically. Because what is going on for most people, the whole world is in a state of limbo and wait at this point because they're waiting to see what happens with the economy. They're waiting to see what happens with however many wars and however many wars we might get into. You know, they're waiting to see what happens with all of the conflicts around the world, and so the key is to actually embrace the weird, which is the thing you've been made wrong for your whole life, which is actually the difference of you, which is actually the gift of you. But it's on a very practical level. It's embracing that unique perspective you have of looking at the world and going from there. What we tend to do, especially when things look like a pile of crap, as they have ever since 2020 for a lot of people in all kinds of different ways that people never expected, is people tend to try to gravitate toward, oh, how do I do this reality better? How do I be more normal? How do I be more right? How do I fit in more as though that's going to make things work? That is the exact opposite of what will make things work. The thing that will make things work is embracing your weird, embracing your difference, embracing the spirit, fate, and destiny that you are. And that means you no longer try to pretend you're normal. You no longer try to pretend that you don't talk to plants and animals. You no longer try to pretend that you're an idiot that doesn't recognize that every creature is conscious. You know, I'll be watching TV shows. Like I was watching, there's some great TV shows on National Geographic and one of them was about the secrets of the octopus. And oh my God, talk about amazing creatures, right? And so the lady is down there and she's been down there with this octopus for weeks. And she's like, it's almost like it knows me. I'm like, could you be any fucking stupider? Of course it knows you. It's a conscious creature. It knew you long before you knew it. And but even saying something like that out there in the normal world seems like something that's weird. And so for me, the invitation is let your freak flag fly. That is the only thing that is going to create success for you in the world at this point. And that doesn't mean That's not the thing of go and prove how weird you are by doing saying stupid crap at inappropriate times, you know. You're at a family dinner and you're like, "Oh my God, the sun has been talking to me." No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying go try to prove you're weird. I'm saying be weird, shut up, and create your life. In other words, and yeah, I may be a little intense right now. I have been uh, morphing, shall we say, which created my body being very sick. And I still have not recovered. So sometimes I use a little bit of intensity to try to overcome the mental barrier that's been in my head since this thing started. So, but it's not about proving that you're weird. See, when you're proving the opposite of what you believe you are. So, like people with tattoos, they're proving they're not totally conservative. And yet, most people with tattoos are some of the most conservative people you will ever meet. Hey, by the way, I love tattoos, especially a good tattoo. It's great, no problem. You know, and some people do it to express a certain flair that they have. Cool. And, but it's not about proving it, it's about quietly having a different point of view that you're willing to have, that you're willing to start finding out what's true for you that is unique and different, and starting to create your life from there. Because what we've got to do is we've got to start creating our lives, not waiting for the world to somehow change before we do, or waiting for the perfect conditions. We've got to start today creating our lives. And you know, we you know, in the very title we brought in the concept of weird because the whole thing that makes it work for us is when we look through our different and unique perspective, which we've been told our entire lives is weird. Why are you so weird? Like, well, why are you so boring? Oh. And nobody has anything to say. Okay, good.
I was thinking with Sarah. I was gonna say something.
I can, but do you have something, Megan?
Just, I think that, like you were saying, like finding kind of like what your unique perspective is, like that's been such a journey for me to see that number one, I see the world differently. Like for so long, I thought everyone saw the world like I did, so I just did not understand.
Can I just take a moment and put a pin in that one thing right there, please?
Yeah.
Every one of you watching this right now, whether it's live or later, sees the world differently. That is the gift of you. And you've been told that it's a curse. Just recognize you see the world differently. You always have. It's why people didn't understand you. It's why people were sometimes afraid of you. It's why people were mean to you. It's why people bullied you. And when somebody bullies you, it's not because they think you're weak. It's because they know you're more powerful than they are, and they don't know what to do about it. So please, can you please continue? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, just that it's like this journey with everything that, you know, hopefully if people are on and watching, they have heard of you before. If not, there's so many videos to go check all this stuff out. But it's like it's these ways of being able to like navigate through a world that you see very differently. So I was also, when you were talking to about like the state of the world, what I'm noticing is, and even within myself, is like this desire to sort of just check out. Like
Yeah.
I can't even deal with that right now, so I'll just go over here. But it's not from action and creation; it's from wait, like you were saying.
Yeah,
So
and reaction in that case. But also, one of the things that, once again, the concept of weird or this whole idea of being different plays into also is like when you said, I just kind of want to check out. Well, how many people in the world want to do that? And how aware are you of them? See, one of the things is we're all aware of, energetically, we're all aware of the world and what the people are choosing and what they're doing, and we keep thinking it's ours. One of the tools we have in Access Consciousness is to ask, who does this belong to? For any thought, feeling, emotion you have. Or you could ask, who does this belong to the wait, to the stop, to the limbo state, or the desire to check out. Okay, who does this belong to? Like, how much of it isn't even mine? Because when you have 8 billion people vibrating in a similar way, it seems very intense, like it is literally in the air around you. This is why it is so vital that we begin to distinguish what is that vibration that I'm receiving from the world and the people around me. And they're not all bad people, by the way. Just want to point this out. It's not that because they're bad that they're doing this, or they're evil, or they're mean. They just don't know they have another choice, or aren't willing to choose something different. Story for another time. But so it's vital that we start to recognize, what is my vibration here? What is my sense? What is my point of view? What is my awareness? What choices do I have that other people don't? And to our initial conversation about creating your life, if I were truly creating my life today, what would I choose right away? And one of the other elements that might be helpful to you is, if everybody on the planet died today, what choices would you have that you don't think you currently do? And then, if everybody on the planet died today, who would you hire back tomorrow? Like, who in your life would you say, yeah, you know what? You're such a contribution that I would like to have you in my life. If you're, and the reason for looking at these things is to, number one, do a pattern interrupt, but number two, give you a different perspective. Because so much of the time, all we require is a different perspective. And our perspective is the greatest gift that we can have. And that truly is the untold secret to creating a life and living that works for you, but also to be able to thrive when others don't even know they can survive. And we're capable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to pluck out too. I think Megan and I are vibing in some magical way, because the different perspective thing, and how where we separate weird and just being you and having a different perspective and being the magic of that. It was reminding me of the story of the shoe salesman. Like, when the economy crashed, his different perspective was, don't close my shoe shop, it's open a shop that repairs shoes, because people weren't going to keep buying new shoes. It's like our different tweak on what is here and how we can outcreate it. And that's a story told a million times over, and people who took a different perspective when the whole world was going one way, they were like, no, I see a possibility here. And how that is the forward momentum motion that we're actually like asking to be and create, rather than the stuck place that you're talking, like so many of us buy into.
Totally. But and that right there is that willingness to have that different, unique perspective. And part of that unique perspective is, no matter what goes on, I am going to succeed. Period. And the only thing that's truly required for that, by the way, especially if you have access consciousness tools, because in access consciousness, we have a lot of tools. So you can change when you feel yuck, stuck, and what the fuck in the trenches of life, in the moment, so you can get to creating your life again. But with all of these tools, and when you have that, the only thing truly required for you to succeed is to not quit. That's it. Now, we're all going to slow down and feel like we want to quit at certain times. The only really important part is that you don't quit, that you keep going. And so, that the shoe salesman you're talking about, or shoe store guy, it's like, that's the perspective of asking a question. Okay, what can I do? Because he didn't go open up a jewelry shop, a jewelry repair shop. He was uniquely suited to shoes, so he opens up a shoe repair. But that's the other element of being weird that is so vital. And it's not even really about the word weird. It's just a way that we can try to convey to people the choice for being a difference that you've often been judged for, but that you already are, still are, and always have been, and can't get rid of. Some of you have tried, okay? But the idea of that is looking from your unique perspective there, but asking questions rather than coming to conclusion. One of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is to be willing to ask questions when everybody else is coming to judgment and conclusion. Because for every judgment or conclusion you come to, nothing that doesn't match that can come into your awareness. So when you go, oh, the economy is going to hell in a handbasket and there is no future, Well, you start seeing evidence of that everywhere. Is it because it's true, or because you took that point of view and now you're creating that as your reality? Your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. I'm going to say that again. This is a big one. Your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. And if you look over your life at a time where you were struggling with something where somebody else wasn't, what's the difference? Well, your point of view was this is going to be a struggle. Their point of view was it's fine. I can do this. And another element of that, as far as the willingness to chart a different path, like right before I went to college, I was selling cars, which didn't last long, by the way, as you might imagine. Not really cut out for it, but I had just started selling cars and the bottom fell out of the car market because Iraq invaded Kuwait. And so mostly everybody's sales were going down except this one guy. And this one guy, by the way, he was the most bizarre looking creature you have ever seen. He probably bought his clothes back in 1954 and was still wearing them. And he had one eye that was weird, and he was overweight, and he had bad breath and was not particularly appealing to talk to. I mean, like there were nothing was going for this man as far as any of the way he had created himself. And yet, after a couple of months, he was the top salesman. And me being me, I pulled him aside one day. I went, how is this? How is this happening? I said, before you were, down sort of near the bottom. And there was this one guy who was our top salesman who ended up quitting because his sales were so bad. And this guy said, he said, well, I had an epiphany a few months ago. He said, I realized that even though the economy's really bad, people still have to buy cars. that one point of view. That was it. It was not like, rocket science. It was one point of view. And it was amazing because that stuck with me for the rest of my life. This guy who it wasn't from natural talent or ability. It was from, I have a different point of view and I'm going to function from that point of view. And if you are willing to have different points of view than other people, you can create a different outcome, totally different outcomes. You can also start creating your life. So part of the whole reason for doing this live is to get people to start looking from a different perspective that's actually their perspective. Like, what do you know that nobody else does that would allow you to have ease with money and ease financially? What weird awarenesses do you have about the magic that's in the world that will contribute to you that you haven't been using because other people don't get it? It's like, what is it about you? And we don't, and here's the other thing about asking questions though, is oftentimes people think if a question really works, I'm going to ask it once and I will have the awareness. Oh, no, princess. That's not the way this works. Okay. You have to ask and ask and ask for some of these things. Like, what do I know? What am I that's so different that would, oh, I got another perspective I want to share on the money thing just a second here. But what am I that's so different that would allow money to be eased or allow my life to be eased, allow me to create my life when nobody else is? And also, what perspective could I choose? What points of view can I choose? This is the other weird part. People don't realize you choose. You've already chosen all of your points of view. You can choose other points of view, which Access Consciousness is really good at getting people over their need to have a fixed point of view, which is really nice with all these tools that we have. But so the other thing I was going to say is when it comes to money, because obviously that's one of the big stresses in so many people's lives, what is it you do with such ease that you think has no value because it's easy for you, that if you chose to value it and charge for it, people would be happy to pay you for it because they're not nearly as good at it as you are? Like one lady, Gary, the founder of Access, asked this question in class, and she's like, oh my God, I love to organize. And it was so easy for her. Like literally, somehow she just has this amazing skill of walking into a room with somebody and being like, boop, 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 boop. Okay, bye-bye, have a nice day. And she never charged for it. She would do it for her friends. And she went, oh, I think I'm a creative. She created a friggin' business helping people organize. And she has been booked from day one. And then once people work with her, they want to refer her to their friends. I mean, and she never valued that. She was like in her 30s. She had been doing all kinds of other jobs and nothing really was, really that appealing to her. But this she loves and has been great at. So what is it you do with such ease that you think that you're not willing to charge for it because you think it must be that easy for everybody else? That if you were willing to charge for it, might change everything for you. Oh, and you might have fun because we really like doing those things that are easy. And what's weird is, here's the other weird part. You got to be weird enough to be willing to do what you love and receive money for it. Everything that doesn't allow that, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, bases, creations, and beyonds. And that, my friend, is the clearing statement. You can go to theclearingstatement.com and it'll be explained. But basically, it's using quantum physics where it meets consciousness to undo all of your stupid fixed points of view that are limiting you when you're ready to let them go. And that is true. That itself could be a whole call. Okay. This is funny.
Go brain dead after a little while.
You're like,
Amazing. I think
I'm not supposed to talk.
well, I think that like you were saying, like that you can change your point of view. So yes, there's like all this financial stuff, and then asking questions gets you to see, okay, it's not mine, and that you can change it. That's magic. Like that's magic that we sometimes take for granted because it's so easy to just, oh, I could just change my point of view and have something so different.
It's so true. And here's the interesting part is think of a time when you were a little kid and things just came easy for you. Whether your parents got you what you wanted or school or friends or happiness or whatever. Well, that's actually you. Everything else is a learned, destructive, self-destructive behavior. We can unlearn those. It takes a bit longer because we learned these things as a way of trying to fit in to several boxes of reality that were never ours. And once again, here we are at the same conversation. How much of who, what, where, when, why, and how you think you are isn't even actually you? Well, and how do you know? Well, when you're truly being you, it has a lightness to it. It has an ease. It's like hanging out with good friends. And like, what's it like when you hang out with somebody who doesn't judge you? If you have someone, I hope you all have at least one person. But what's it like? Or maybe you hang out with cats or dogs or snakes and dragons like I do. But what's it like? Oh, and horses. I forgot horses. But if you think about it, what's it like hanging out with a horse, a dog, a creature that doesn't judge you, or a person if you're lucky enough to have one? It's so relaxing. You don't have to try to prove anything. And you have the freedom to expose all the parts of you that you feel like you have to keep hidden with all the people you need to maintain an image with. And so the need to maintain an image and the need to function from personalities to maintain that image is one of the most destructive things to us getting in touch with what's true for us, like we're talking about. But if you recognize the way you were as a little kid, when things just showed up for you and how different you feel like you have to be now, you realize there was a lot of learning, a lot of stuff that we structured into place. And using the clearing statement and these questions, we can change that. And once again, what's true for you always makes you lighter. It's got a sense of peace. It's got a sense of ease. A lie always makes you heavier. To the extent that we're willing to search out what's true for us that is different and choose according to that and choose according to what makes us lighter, over time, our lives get lighter and lighter and lighter. And there's a lot less scraping along the bottom.
I wanted to ask, Dane, like the that scraping beyond the bottom, scrape, easy for me to say, sorry, translators, scraping along the bottom reality. I know for me, when I started to actually create my life with the tools and get to create with Access Consciousness and you, I say now that like it was then that I stopped working. Like I haven't worked in quite a while, because my life is play and it's an adventure of possibilities that it never was before, when I was like seeking the work to make the money to do the thing of, you know, this reality. And I know what got me there was a willingness to ask questions, to not be living always from my conclusions or what was being told to me and about the world around me, about what was possible based on where I came from and all of the layers of that. And so for someone who's there right now, who's like, what do you mean I don't have to work and I can still survive? And what do you mean thrive, Dain? What does it look like to start to walk with consciousness, with these tools, with questions? Like, how do we start to engage just those steps into the world of possibilities with question?
Yeah, great question. Here's the thing is, well, there's a couple elements to the answer. So one of which, if we look at how do we start this, it's the very basic, very beginning is to start to ask questions about everything rather than coming to conclusion about anything. Like even, oh, I don't like, broccoli. Okay, well, okay, is it true I don't like broccoli? Like, are there times I might like, and that's a stupid, silly example, but to start asking questions like, what else is possible I've never considered? What's it going to take to change this? What can I be and do here? And what can I choose that will create something different? How does it get any better than this when something good or bad happens to make it even better? What's right about me I'm not getting? What are the possibilities I know that I haven't yet chosen? And if I were truly creating my life today, what would I choose right away? And you notice just being in the presence of me asking those questions on your behalf, it takes that solid wall that so many of us feel is in front of us and all around us, and you start to sense maybe even the smallest of cracks. And we need to recognize that though we're taught, and we seem to have this point of view that I need to change it all right now. I do understand that, by the way. And if that's the case, go get your bars running, do some more access. That's what did it for me. Or at least it started this thing that gave me an experience that it could be different. When you're stuck in a dark room in solitary confinement and the doors have been closed for years, just a tiny shaft of light lets you know that light exists and that it's possible. And if you're in that really struggling place, that really should be your target. Well, how do you find out what to do? Okay, what can I choose? What can I do that will show me that lightness is possible? Wow. Once again, we're asking a very simple question that applies directly to the outcome that we would like to create. And then, though, here's the other part. Don't look for the answer. Live your life and let the universe show you. By the way, it'd be really helpful if you were weird enough to believe in a benevolent universe and this other thing called consciousness, which are these great sources of contribution that when you're living a life where you only believe in this reality, you miss it. You think everything is carbon and hydrogen atoms and everything is explained by science and everything is linear. You know what? That right there is one of the huge elements that makes most of us weirdos not want to be here. Because if we can't have a life of magic, why are we here? If we can't thoroughly enjoy being alive, if we can't have a sense that tomorrow can not only be greater than today, but miraculously so, why are we here? So that's one of the other things you might add to your list is being weird enough to believe in magic again and to believe in miracles and ask for it. It's not always going to show up, but I guarantee if you don't ask for it, it's not going to show up. And so it's about playing. It's about going on this meandering path of consciousness. And so what is consciousness? Well, we have a definition of consciousness where everything exists and nothing is judged. And if you look at what destroys us the most, whether it's from the inside or coming from the outside, it's judgment. Judgment, you can either have judgment or you can have joy. You can either have judgment or you can have gratitude. You can either have judgment or you can create. You can either have judgment or you can be the question. You can either have judgment or you can have possibilities. And if you start to look from that perspective, you realize how dynamically and deeply entrenched judgment is in our world. And we have gone along with it. And so another element of this is being willing to be weird enough to no longer go along with the prevailing tides of judgment, or any tide of judgment for that matter. And here's the other part is you got to be willing to do the work. Okay. Oh, I asked one question and my whole life didn't change. Hey, princess. Yeah, your life didn't change before this either. You got to be willing to do the work and recognize, yeah, it's probably not all going to show up tomorrow. Sorry. Okay. But we live in a world where instant gratification somehow is the only thing anybody's willing to seek, rather than, okay, if I look from the point of view of starting today, I'm going to make different choices so I create a future that I actually love living. Different perspective. It's no longer about the quick gratification. It's about getting the sense of, like right now, well, sorry, my ADHD kicks in every now and again, like all the time. But the good news is my OCD tries to control it. So that's pretty helpful, except my autism makes it so then I don't remember what either one of them are doing. And anyway, you get the idea. So if we look at this, if you looked at this, if I gave myself the freedom to truly change how my life is showing up in the next 12 to 18 months, well, would it take a little bit of the pressure off? And if you can recognize along that, if you do that, what will happen is along the way, many miracles will show up, which will shorten that time frame, actually, if you'll give yourself that time frame and stop expecting that you should have a miraculous change by asking one question. Or it reminds me of this, somebody was telling me about this guy who never ate vegetables, and he worked at a restaurant. He was really unhealthy and his body was really hurting. And so somebody said, hey, maybe you want to eat some vegetables. So he put lettuce and tomato on his hamburger once, and all the pain in his body went away. I think that was the only vegetable he ever ate. I was like, are you kidding me? So this happens for some people. I've had the experience of giving people one question or one tool, like, how does it get any better than this? Great question to ask, because it makes a bad situation better, but it makes a good situation even better. And giving them this one question, and it changed their entire lives. And this other person, I gave them the question, what else is possible? Changed their entire life. Now, I think that is wonderful. I would love it if it worked that way for all of us all the time. Maybe, maybe not. But you got to be willing. You got to be willing to have your back enough to do whatever it takes to change what isn't working and start creating what does. And there's lots of resources out there. I've just found that Access Consciousness is the fastest that I've ever found. Plus the most fun. Plus it's got the highest percentage of weirdos that just don't judge you for being weird that I found. So I really like that part too. But whatever resources, I don't care if you do Access or what, but make the demand of yourself today, no matter what. I am changing. 12 months from now, I'm not going to be here in the same position. And this is also one of the key elements to getting over the weight and getting over the, forgot the other word, getting over those things, is when you go, okay, I'm giving myself 12 months, 18 month limbo, thank you, to change this. And then you go, okay, what's it going to take? Dear universe, dear consciousness, help. You know, I've got hundreds, if not over 1,000 YouTube videos. It used to be 1,000. I think we moved some to another channel, but it's like I've got hundreds of YouTube videos. And I have had hundreds of people tell me, you know what? When I started, I didn't have the money for anything, including paying my rent, including buying food. I barely bought toothpaste because I didn't want to, disgust people with my breath. But I started watching your YouTube videos. And Sarah, you took a half an hour a day and just watched my YouTube videos after hearing me talk about it for years. Sorry, sorry. But this is what it takes sometimes. You're not going to necessarily do it right when you hear it, but it's like, and within weeks, you started noticing your world changing. So I'm going to talk just a slight bit more about that as a way of giving you all another sense and perspective, which is take at least a half an hour a day and do something that's nurturing to your body and being, nurturing to your soul, nurturing to you. Okay. Whether that's running, whether it's watching YouTube videos that are actually. Did you guys hear that? Oh,
What did it say? I didn't hear what it said.
that was so good. So Siri speaks up and goes, "It sounds like you're feeling a bit frustrated or emotional." And then she went on to, I didn't hear the rest of it. Then she went on to say something about YouTube videos and thank you. I know what she said. She said, you should watch Dr. Dain Heer's YouTube videos. That's what she said in my mind. Hey, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, people. Okay. So, but do something that's nurturing. That alone is a creative element. Because the other thing that most of us have no idea about is what is choice? Well, if I can choose something different, what the heck is choice? Well, making a choice to take a half an hour a day. So my sister did that many years ago. And once again, she had heard me talking about it, and she had 4 kids. She had a salon business. She was really busy, had a husband. Okay, 5 kids. Okay. So it's like really busy, right? And so what she did was she decided she was going to wake up a half an hour early before it was time to wake the kids up and get them ready. Now that's a choice. You had no idea. And here's the other thing about choice. You have no idea what it will create. But most people sit and wait until they believe they can predict what the choice will create before they choose. No, just choose.
Do you know that we've told that story a few times on lives? And this right now is when I acknowledged it was choice that changed it. She's cute, kids. She's not always smart. Yeah, because you would say that a lot. And I was like, what? And it was incremental, right? Because I was like, I can't, in my head in that time, I couldn't leave for a weekend class. Like I couldn't, do this big thing. So it was like 30 minutes to just kind of absorb some new possibilities my brother had been talking about for a while. And I was like, I could do 30 minutes a day. Like, and it was really like with this attitude, I'm not going to lie. Okay, fine, Dain, I'll do it. And then I started choosing it. And I remember the video, it was like, what a very simple question that you've offered here today. Like, what else is possible? And how does it get better than this? And it was a video about that. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll ask that about everything. It's still with that attitude because, you know me. Whatever. Okay.
I think we can all relate to that attitude. Don't feel so guilty for having it, even though it was your big brother and all that.
I was like, okay. And to cut to the
oh, you got to tell the story.
Okay.
It's so please.
Okay. So we had gotten to the place where I had hit that one of those bottoms. I hit them. Well, I have multiple bottoms. My brother was always there to support me. But,
how many bottoms do you have? Well, I'm not sure I've counted them all yet, but
Well, I was just really good at creating bottoms. So anyhow,
you have a great bottom. I'm just saying.
There you go.
I worked on that one too.
Glad you said that, not her brother. Okay, good.
You have a great bottom too.
Exactly. Friends in the family.
So, well, the bottom at this moment was that like financially things were really stressed. As you said, I had 4+1 children. And so we stopped watering our grass. We had everything was dead in my backyard. We had fruit trees that had died. So I was going out there with this laptop every day to take like solace, but everything around me was dying, literally. I'm using that word correctly. And so the first thing I thought I would ask a question about that you offered me on that video was, okay, what else is possible with the dead grass, and I just kept on going. And what else is possible was my tool of choice. I didn't know who or what I was asking or what I thought was going to happen. I think maybe California was going to get rain was probably my only conclusion I could come up with. And it was just days later that the neighbor that we barely knew, like, and we were keeping people from our backyard, right? We were, as in per California, I was watering the front so that I looked the image, but the back was dead. Okay. So no one knew that we had dead grass in the back. And our neighbor came over and said, hey, we bought a lot of, we re-saw, like re-grassed. That's not a verb, but sod, is that
Yeah.
we laid new grass in our, and we overbought, like our gardener over purchased. And so we're looking for someone who would like to have our grass. Is there any way that you require grass? What a random question from someone you barely know. Do you require grass? And I was like, yes. And then while their gardeners were in the back, they also had like leftover flowers. And so they planted flowers in our dead flower boxes. And I remember the next morning after that happened, coming out with my laptop, and I was like, okay, there's something to this, and truly I'm one of those, I used to be extremely skeptical of miracles and magic. I realized that is an entrainment from the family I grew up with, because when I was little, I would like sit in the car at stoplights. And I'd love to see if you want to extrapolate on this a little bit, Dain, but I would throw my hands at different cars. And my mom one day was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm giving them a miracle. And in my head, I was like, she wants a puppy and he wants ice cream and I'm giving it to them. And she said, only Jesus does miracles. And I was like, oh, and I remembered that suddenly recently where, oh, my skepticism of my magic and what I could contribute, like, stopped there. And so I instantly became completely skeptical of, or just magic and miracles. What I'm trying to get to is that if I heard this on a live years ago and someone was like, hey, I just asked for grass and the neighbor brought it over, it was wild, I would have been like, yeah, they probably peeked over your back fence and they knew you needed it and they wouldn't purchase extra for you. Like, I would have totally just completely discounted that your request can show up like that with that much ease.
Totally.
Now creating my life with these tools, it's like it's all the time, everywhere.
Yeah, from travel to everything, it literally. And you got to be willing to be weird enough to receive the miracles. And let's face it, that's one of the weirdest things there is. And it's also, and I want to also, for you and everybody else out there. So I think not necessarily in the same direct way, because that's a really direct thing where you are literally, oh, they want a puppy. Oh, they want more money. Oh, they want to have another affair. No, just kidding. We gotta, throw the other things in there. So here's the thing is when we are creating miracles, even if, like, as a little kid, if you followed up with those people, it'd be interesting to see how many of them had these things show up, just like the grass did for you, right? Well, when we do something that's miraculous and we are invalidated or told that we can't, weirdest thing is when we're told we can't do something, boy, we either really fight against it, but it's like it sinks in somehow. So everything that was for you, but all of you who are watching, everywhere you used to believe in miracles and somebody happened to you, or you did something that was miraculous and you didn't acknowledge it, or other people didn't acknowledge it, or they made you wrong for it, or they started calling you weird and judging you and separating from you, everything that is times a godzillion. And everywhere you've given up believing in miracles as a result of stupid people, we destroyed and created all, please. Times a godzillion, right, wrong, about all 100, Pod Poc, Shorts, Boys, Poveds, Bases, Creations, and Beyonds. Oof.
It's weird to believe in miracles.
Totally. One of the weirdest things, actually.
And just like you said, like to acknowledge it, because I've noticed how much like my personal magic I've like chipped away at because I'm creating things that nobody else can see or perceive.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just crazy, but if I keep acknowledging it, then it keeps growing. But it's like,
yes,
it's such an interesting place to play when isn't necessarily something that you can like prove or show or whatever. It's like, do you have more ease? If you're asking for more ease, like how do you even, that doesn't make sense to anyone else.
Well, and that isn't, this is also, why from moment one, I've started by the willingness to be different, the willingness to be weird, the willingness to be seen as weird. Because what you're talking about, we create together. I know you create things that other people can't even begin to see.
Yeah.
Kind of like little Sarah going, you get a puppy and you get that,
Yeah.
and nobody could see it, but she knew.
Yeah.
She was being in her awareness, functioning totally from her awareness while doing that. And we've got to recognize that there is no definition to a miracle. There is no understanding a miracle. But when we're truly being us, we create from ask and you shall receive, which is miraculous. My personal point of view is they hid that in the Bible so nobody would believe it, you know? And we have a lot of people around us who like your mom, who Sarah, who I say your mom because she's my stepmom, but who would say something like, "No, you can't do that. Only Jesus can." But that's her limited upbringing. That has nothing to do with what's true. It has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with having a sense of communion with the universe and the consciousness that every molecule is. And to the degree that we can allow ourselves to be weird enough to actually be taken care of by the universe, contributed to, it's a very, it changes the landscape dynamically. And also, I want to say again, I know some people, like Sarah was pointing out, if she were listening to this at a certain time in the past, would have been like, oh my God, these people just grab hands and sing Kumbaya. And it's like, yeah, I totally get it. I would have had a similar point of view also, except even at the point 25 years ago, I was going to kill myself. That for that period of time where I was going to end my life, and then I got my bars run and went from depressed and suicidal to so friggin' grateful and happy to be alive. That was the only period of time in my life where I ever gave up believing that things could change.
Mm.
And that was only the first time in my life I gave up hope, even after experiencing a lot of abuse and people hating me my whole life that should have loved me, et cetera, like a lot of us have experienced. But that willingness to not give up hope, that willingness to recognize that there is so much out there that will contribute to you, and that all the people that have been telling you that you're not miraculous, that you're a bad person, so you don't deserve, that you deserve terrible things, and that every problem in the world is your fault, but will never let you solve any of them. Those are people who had a lot of baggage, and it was all theirs. It was never about you. I know kids who were told as a little kid, they were responsible for their family's financial problems. Ooh, I was one of them. And yet, we know that's not true. A 6-year-old kid is not responsible for your disastrous choices in life. But if we could look and recognize a lot of people around us made disastrous choices because they did. That's their life story. Even if they're your parents, that's their life story. What if you were willing to stop making it yours? And what if you weren't alone in the journey anymore? There's a bunch of us weirdos around. And a lot of us would like to contribute and contribute to you having the space of contribution and also the tools and whatever we can to make the journey easier for you. Because we all live on this planet together. The more the more any of us succeeds, the more all of us succeed.
Did we just finish the live?
Does have a bit of a sense of that, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
that was beautiful. Um, I have no, there's no, if you're looking for me for the words.
I'm looking to Megan now that
Okay.
you said I can't look to you for the words. Now I'm on
Let
to
me
Megan.
see if I can find words. I just am really grateful for this space. It's like I've been, quote, playing and using with the tools for a very long time, but it's like sometimes you just can forget, that it's like, hey, it can be easy. What
Yeah.
could you ask for that you're not asking for? I think the other thing, like, when you're talking about like the OCD, autism, ADHD thing, like sometimes I'll have to pause and be like, wow, you have actually created everything that you asked for 6 months ago. Now what? Like it's not like there's an end to the magic. And there's a quote that's been like circling on Instagram that the universe isn't on a budget. Like I think the thing that gets really where I get lit up with this enthusiasm is if you get off weight and the limbo, like what could you truly create beyond anything that's ever been possible before? And currently I have no idea what to even ask for.
That,
Like, okay. Yeah.
yeah. I want to give some very quick, very simple tools. And it was spurred by you talking about having the tools and using them and then sometimes forgetting to use them, quote unquote, whatever. And one of those is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory.
Yeah.
We've called it the mantra of access ever since access has existed, but we very seldom used it that way. I did when I started, and then we got all these other tools, so I started using them because those must be better. But recently I've realized that if you do nothing else, if you say that phrase, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory, at least 10 times in the morning and 10 times in the evening, but I would suggest use it as a mantra. Within days, you will notice something different. But also, please, 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 if you don't know what to do right now, use it. Just write it down and say it all the time. Put it as a screensaver on your phone and say it. And you're like, yeah, but don't I have to believe it? No. And this is about all of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Come to me with ease and joy and glory. And glory is exuberant expression and abundance. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. And we've added a lot of other tools. I was going to add a few things, but they just escaped my brain. And I was
I'll
going
say,
to,
like, if you have never tried access bars, that one is,
oh,
I need my bars
yeah,
right now because, because I do. It's been like 3 weeks, but it's like that, the bars like helps just clear everything so that you actually have way more space to actually ask from and be from and receive and all of that. So there's bars practitioners all over the world,
yep,
that you can find and ask for someone to run your bars or try the bars or whatever. So just wanted to
yeah.
share that.
Please get your bars run because what it gives you is an experience of things changing, an
Yeah.
experience of more peace, an experience of receiving. Once you have that experience, you can't doubt it nearly as easily. And in the studies we've done on bars, we found it decreases anxiety, stress, and depression an average of 87% with one session. It makes your HRV, your heart resting volume, is that what it's called? Variability, heart rate variability. That's what it is. Oh yeah, that was tough to figure out. Um, but it goes in the right direction. I forget whether that's increase or decrease now. That's awesome.
I'm
I'm a
the same.
doctor. Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. I know this stuff. Can't, that's out of my brain. Um,
I
and
had to like glue in, it gets you to like 1 hertz delta, which apparently is a really big deal in the scientific world of
right,
brain waves. But for me,
right.
like, it just makes everything easier and it takes the like weight of whatever you think is you and it just melts it. Changes
Yeah,
everything.
that.
You also have an access bars class coming up, a global one.
Ooh, I forgot about that. That's true.
Anyone can come on. If you're like, I don't know, you can go on the adventure and find a neighbor or something. You can join online or
Oh,
you can go in Budapest, but I think it's getting quite full. So you might,
yes.
it's in September in Budapest and online. So you can we'll put some links in the threads, but you can
Yeah.
go to
And
Dr.
bars, it's a 1 day class. You learn where the positions are. You'll trade twice. And you can run people's bars after that and run your own and it's one of the greatest gifts that we have. And and a lot of people, if you've done Access before, you probably know I was going to be starting something called Practical Magic later this week. And I'm changing it based on a lot of the things, looking at a lot of the very same things that we have been talking about today, and having more ease of accessing what I would actually like to create. So it will be starting, I'm guessing sometime soon, but I think we're going to call it Walking with Dain, where it's like it's like one of the things that I consider one of the greatest gifts in the world is to be able to be there and walk alongside people and contribute to them, show them the pitfalls and how to go beyond that, but also show them that they have wings and how to soar. And that's different for each individual, but that is the direction that I think the thing we were going to do as Practical Magic well, I know that's the direction it's going to be heading into. And it really is going to be about getting off of weight, but accessing that difference that we are, because this is not just actually not at all a mental construct. It's not just oh, I'm weird, I'm different, I blah, blah. It's having your life show up more miraculously is what this gives you. And that is something we are all capable of, fully capable of it. And to the extent that you have somebody there who can contribute to you, showing you that, the journey gets a lot easier. So that's probably where that will be headed. And yeah, so a couple things coming up. But
And I just say it's so fun to be able to like work with you because you're always following the energy. And so you'll change things in a nanosecond. Even though you're like already down this path, you'll just keep changing. And it's so inspiring because I don't know of anyone else out there, like any other company that's willing to do that,
Thank you. And in most other companies, here's the part where the gratitude so goes both ways. Because in most other companies, they'd be like, are you freaking kidding? We have the whole thing set up. We're ready to press start. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's not working. It's not great enough for what we wanted. And you guys get excited. You're like, this is awesome. Okay, let's change it. And that willingness, this is one of the other elements of that all the things that we've talked about give you is the willingness to perceive the energetics of something and whether or not it works, and to know when something will be far greater, even if it takes a little more effort, or even if you change the thing that you were doing. But you guys, man, you amazing creatures, it's like the enthusiasm for that very thing is one of the things that makes it so possible. And in my world, I'm like, and gives me this is where we contribute to each other, because it gives me the willingness to change on a dime and know that there's not going to be resentment. There's going to be enthusiasm for us collectively creating what will create more. And that's friggin' awesome. Let's have a world more like that, shall we?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay, so everybody out there, 1, on 3, gather all your lightning bolts of possibility. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do 1 to 100, 1 to 100, 1 to 100, 1 to 100, 1 to 100. Now we're going to do something to change everything for everybody. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 100. 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 100, 100. Now, what we just did was weird.
Yay.
There you go. That was weird, in case you didn't know what weird was. You're welcome.
That was the snake biting its tail.
Boom.
Yeah, but how many people are watching this and are going to be secretly driving around doing
It's going to be awesome. Bring on the weird.
Let me just try it, see if it works. Hey,
exactly.
That's the best part about it.
Exactly. Yes.
Everybody's getting puppies.
Puppies for everyone.
Oh, you're better than Oprah. A puppy for you. A puppy for you. Wow. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Dane. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, translators. And yeah, so if you were like, yay for practical magic, we'll be sending you more information soon once we get there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, y'all.